This is Gateway City Sports.
It's a trap!
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
This is the Team of Rivals podcast.
Everything you want to hear from the big sports to the big screen.
He's all by himself, fires into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! No! Vaughn into the windup in his first offering. Just a bit outside. He tried the corner and missed.
He doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
Time winding down. Michael for three. Yes! She is gone!
I can't believe what I just saw.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! You believe in miracles? Yes!
You may fire when ready.
What?
Good evening, Cumberland Cardinals fans. It's Thursday, October 21st. I was really looking forward to celebrating tonight. The Braves, I thought were going to eliminate the Dodgers tonight. And granted, I do have something of an interest in the Dodgers. Let's call it a close acquaintance is sending me videos from a suite at the Dodgers game tonight. Damn it. That's all I can say. Damn it. Anyway, this is the Team of Rivals podcast, proud members of the Gateway City Sports Network, where you can find great podcasts and blog content. Elliott can't even keep a straight face. I'm not even looking at the screen, and I can hear Elliott giggling. What a glorious start. You can follow us online at teamofrivalspodcast.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Team of Rivals Podcast, and we're on Twitter at Team of Rivals Pod. And for those of you watching us live, please do hit the like and subscribe buttons and be sure to ring that bell on YouTube so that you'll receive notifications anytime that we post new content. Joining me tonight for just the most anticlimactic night. I was so looking forward to having something good happen tonight, but apparently Max Fried doesn't want us to have nice things either. So here tonight, permanent occasional guest host Elliott Doyen, number 48 in the 2020 edition of Top Cards on Twitter. Ron Nuttall, how you doing?
Pete, out of all the openings we've ever had, we've had funny stuff, we've had angry stuff. This is new. Well, and I feel your sentiments. I know it started off great. Freddie Freeman with the 2-run homer. Let's put the Doyers away, as Ron likes to call them.
The Doyers.
Yeah, let's ruin the commissioner's plan to have big market teams in the World Series. But no, the Dodgers got to go and screw it up like this.
And you're absolutely right. It is. I think that they really couldn't care less whether it's the Astros or the Red Sox, because they can write that story, right? Mookie Betts return to Boston, right? Or the revenge series, to make things right from 2017.
The cheaters versus
right, exactly. But what they can't stand would be for the Braves to make it to the World Series.
Oh, it'd be terrible for them. I mean, we've seen those years when they have. I mean, their worst nightmare is a couple teams in the Midwest actually making it to the World Series, because those always typically, with the exception of Chicago when they made it in 2016. I know that was a bigger story because it was lovable losers finally got there, right? So it was a national story.
Well, and also it was a real city.
Look, if Chicago wants to break off from Illinois, I don't care.
Neither do I.
It'd probably be a good thing, but no, when two Midwest teams lock up in the World Series, that's never good for national ratings. Baseball, they can't like that kind of thing, and everybody's looking at ratings. Those are the things that matter, number of streams, whatever it is these days. But Yeah, their worst nightmare. I mean, not a worst nightmare. There could be worse scenarios, right? I mean, you could have Kansas City and Pittsburgh locked up in a World Series, and that'd be awful for ratings. I admit that, but
I mean, the Braves have a huge following because they were on TBS for so many years. So they're kind of like what the Cubs were with WGN, where they're all over the place.
Sure,
I feel like,
but I don't even know if I'd compare Atlanta and Chicago. I know they were both national for a long time in the 80s and 90s when we didn't have access like we do today, and it's debatable how much access we have today, right? Because Valley Sports. I was just going to say,
how much access do we have there, Ron?
It's not really that great, but the scenario nobody wants, and it's not going to get a lot of interest, and that is going to be Atlanta, Houston if they make it. If that ends up being the way it shapes up, it shapes out by in a couple of days. I think this ends this weekend, right? By Sunday, the potential Game 7's over. So if it ends up being that, it's not going to generate a ton of interest. I think having LA and having the nation root against LA making it would be a scenario they would favor. Having a revenge series, I think you were alluding to, Pete, would be something that I would actually tune into because I want to see Houston lose, even if it is to the Dodgers. I can't have that team win. I'm going to be the biggest Braves fan I've ever been if they can actually hold on and pull this off. Now, I got to quit talking about it because I am fucking jinxing every bit of this Braves-Dodgers series every time I text you guys. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Promise. You won't hear anything from me.
Well, I think this one's my fault. This one I think is my fault because Lindsay's at the game tonight, and she had told me earlier in the week that she was hoping that there'd be a Game 5 because she's hosting a suite for her company tonight. And I texted her this morning because she had said that she had been feeling a little under the weather the other day, and I was like, "You feeling better? You ready to host the suite tonight?" And I think I should have just left it alone. I shouldn't have said anything, right? Just let it happen.
Yeah.
Just close my eyes, lay back, just let it happen. Don't fight it. But no, I tried to make it enjoyable.
Couldn't let well enough alone, huh?
No, I couldn't. I blame myself.
As you should.
I was asking for it.
And I totally blame Ron for the other night. So
100%.
I can't believe they blew that. I thought that was in the bag. I really did. So what happens, guys? You're right. You never put that shit out in the universe because this inevitably happens.
Because God has a sense of humor.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, he does. He really does. He in some cases awards cheating just to piss the rest of us off and to tempt those other clubs and their video managers and all the other stuff. Hey, look, so they wear a little. So we hack up an Apple Watch, put it in the bottom of their shoe. They feel a little vibration. Hey, man, you got an off-speed pitch coming. I mean, what's the harm?
Yeah, exactly.
Red Sox and Astros do it, right? Joey Cora, Alex Cora. Sorry, not Joey Cora. I don't know what the hell. I don't know what happened to that guy. Anyway,
the guys up in Milwaukee do the stuff with the lights. So
I think their bullpen did that, right?
Yeah.
That's what broke Kristen Yelich. They put plywood in front of the mesh out there in right center field. He couldn't see the signs anymore. What broke him? And did you guys notice this? I know we're bouncing around. We're not really on a good track or an agenda right now, but as I was watching the Brewers towards the end of the year, does he not just look sickly? He doesn't look like a strong athlete. I realize that baseball is a little bit different, right? You don't have to
Yelich? Yeah, he never has.
I don't know. Yeah. He looks worse than he did a couple of years ago. There's just something about him just doesn't look healthy.
Munching on too much butt.
Yeah, I don't.
What? What?
You never heard that?
No.
There's a picture out there of Yelich.
Munching butt?
Going to town, man.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It's fake, I assume.
It looks a lot like him.
Kristen Yelich looks like every pubescent teen who's a little taller. That's what he looks like. Who hasn't quite filled out. No, please, I don't want to see it. We're on live right now.
It's
just. I don't even want you texting it. No. I don't even want to text.
It's not graphic. It's not graphic.
How's it not? Okay.
Yeah, you'll see.
Oh, good Lord. Are we really doing this? I'm going to look at it.
So for those of you who are listening at home and not watching live, Elliott currently is apparently texting us for pornography.
No,
So this is the first in the Team
cannot
of
say
Rivals
that.
podcast.
No, we're not. Speaking of pornography, this is a good story, guys. Not what you think.
I can't wait.
The king of that, one of my friends, good friends from the military, who always had the stash. Wherever it could have been, the desert, on ship, in the barracks, doesn't matter where. He was like Willy Wonka of porn. Always, if you had to have anything, the guy had it. And
wait, more so than the Big Mac?
Ooh, that would have been a good contender. I don't know, man. That's two forces of nature. If you got them too close together, like the world stops. But
matter and antimatter.
All right. Yeah, two bodies can't exist in the same place at the same time kind of scenario. If they would have touched, like shit would have like just went up in flames. Pete, you've met him before at a wedding a long time ago. But okay. I was randomly added to a group text today of a bunch of my friends that I was in the Marine Corps with. Some of them I was very close with. One of the guys, I have not heard from him in 15 years. He does not exist on social media, which I would have guessed back in the day. I'm like, if we could have seen into the future, be like, hey, everybody's going to be connected by social media accounts. You're going to be able to share things about your family. You're going to be able to reconnect with people. I'm like, that guy's not going to be on social media. I know it. And he hasn't been. He's been a moving target. I haven't talked to him for about 15 years, but I was able to talk to him tonight. Just wonderful, you know. So it instantly put me in a really good mood tonight. Scott, you know I'm talking about you. I told him I was going to mention him on here. He's like, you do a podcast? Like all that thing. So that's how like remote he's put himself. But he's doing great, and I haven't talked to him forever. So I got to chat with him for a little bit before we got on here tonight. So I want to say hi to him. Dirty Tony, you two, and then Johnson. I can't even explain you to people. It's really difficult. You had to live around the guy for an extended period of time to get it. But one of the most unique characters I'll probably ever meet in my life. He could be a Netflix show all by himself. So there it is. Miss you guys a lot. Anyway, that was my story.
I thought it was going to be better than that.
I know. Honestly. Well, I have to put the brakes on that shit. We're all married now and we have families, so I can't really talk about anything we did in my 5 years. It'd be best to not just leave it where it's at. Elliott, you don't have to text this to us, man. I'm not really that interested.
It's on Deadspin, so okay. It just takes a minute to pop up because of all their freaking ads.
Yeah, I don't want to see it though.
But just search it on Twitter. And
I don't.
The articles pop up, and then you'll see tweets from people trolling him all year about whatever.
I don't want any cookies, bots, anything to ever have tracked that I've searched Kristen Yelich munching butt. I don't want that. Don't bring that evil on me, Elliott. I don't want to see it.
I think we got a title.
Oh no! It always ends up that way. We always screw that up, and yeah. Oh well,
munching butt's going to be a tough one to beat.
We've had some pretty good ones.
We had some good ones.
We have. No. I mean for this week.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, I'm glad I could help. Gee,
you're not the one who helped. It's all on Elliott.
Do my best.
All right. Well, so we got some playoff baseball, Pete. It actually hasn't been disappointing. I haven't watched every second, haven't watched every inning, but the storylines have actually been pretty good.
Yeah. I agree, and I'm right with you, Ron. I really haven't watched many games either, but the storylines are good. And the one thing that you do have to credit baseball with, although we like to think that they're not in control, is that for the most part, it's been competitive. Now, the umpiring has been atrocious.
Oh my God,
Laz Diaz, right?
Well, terrible. Yeah, the strike that wasn't a strike. What was it, last night or the night before?
The check swing.
At the check swing, right?
To end this series,
right,
in San Francisco.
And then the strike that wasn't a strike that really flipped that Boston 2 games ago.
Yeah.
Eovaldi, I mean, it was a strike. Everybody says that it was a strike. He called it a ball, and what was it, 2 pitches later, and that was the beginning of the end. So
yeah.
Well, if these guys, if these umpires want to keep that shit up, they're well on their way to being replaced by lasers.
Yep. And one of the things, somebody made a really good point on Twitter, and I can't believe that sentence actually came out of my mouth, but contrast how football is refereed in the playoffs with how baseball is umpired in the playoffs. When they get into the playoffs, it's the highest rated refs all season long. So you don't have complete crews come in. It's whoever the best refs are, regardless of how long they've been with the league, they're the ones who are reffing games. In Major League Baseball, it's entirely based on seniority. And it seems to be pretty consistent that the worst umps in baseball are the oldest ones.
Yeah.
So we're getting exactly that. So,
yeah.
Thanks, man.
And that really is a shame. With all, I know the players union in baseball are going through and the owners are going through their CBA. I'm not sure when the umpire's next contract is up, but that really needs to be something that they work in. If that's working that well for other sports, they really do have to make that change. I get it. Some umpiring crews can have a rapport. They kind of know how each other work, but it shouldn't matter. They all have one job to do on any given night. It doesn't matter who your crew is. Fine, make the most senior out of that mix and match crew, the crew chief. Who really cares? But I also think that I know it risks slowing the game down, but ultimately we want the things to be right.
Yes.
The fact that some judgment calls are now subject to review and other judgment calls are not. The check swing, to me, guys, has been one of those in important games like this. And I know you can argue all of them are important in the regular season. Maybe you don't touch that in the regular season. But if you're making rule changes like not adding the extra base runner and extra innings in playoffs, why aren't you expanding replay to make sure you get shit right? Right? Yep. And a check swing is one of those where how in the hell can you say it's okay to challenge and replay a bang-bang call at first base, and you can't challenge an umpire with their old-ass eyes down the first baseline, judging whether the bat actually broke the plane or not. These guys swing at 80 miles an hour, that bat speed? Probably higher than that for some, but how can a bang-bang play be subject to review, but a check swing just not allowed? I don't understand.
Especially when they have the angle of the cameras to actually tell you.
No shit, the technology is there.
Yes, there is a gray area.
Yeah.
Then you either it's not overturned or it's overturned. Or
the technology is there, Elliott. I think you made a good point.
Yeah.
The technology is there to be able to get that call right. And they shouldn't even have to walk over with headsets on over to a spot off to the side. It should be like a red light, green light. The dude either win or not. Everybody can see that. And we see things slowed down. Most of us at home can even go, well, yeah, he broke his wrist. He broke the plane.
Yeah,
he swung, and you can do it that way. I don't get it. That seems like a really easy fix. Even if you just did that for the playoffs, why would that not be a good thing to do? I don't understand.
I don't know, especially for it to affect a series like that by getting that call wrong. I mean, make it like the NFL. Be like, hey, this could be a turning point. Let's check it.
We don't
just
care.
To make sure.
Implement it the last 3 innings when stuff gets critical. Don't do it the whole game if you're worried about it slowing things down. Then do it when it matters even more. To end a series like that, end a team season on a call that was obviously the wrong call, just seems like something that you should be able to fix. And to a point, then you got to start arguing actual balls and strikes when it gets that late into a game. If it's that egregious, I don't know. That's a slippery slope right there. Balls and strikes are one of those things that I even have mixed feelings on. There's always the human element of the umpire, and I believe if an automatic strike zone is actually implemented, that is going to be a huge advantage for the batters.
Oh yeah,
because Greg Maddux wouldn't have had the career he had with an automatic strike zone. That guy lived on the periphery, right? And he got those calls from the umpire because he didn't throw a ball 4 inches outside of the zone because he was wild. He did it on purpose, and he knew he knew those umpires over a course of time. They keep seeing that pitch there, they think it's a strike. So
and also he didn't start 4 inches off the zone.
He started in the
middle of the plate,
worked his way out
right on the edge of the zone, and he was catching. He would catch the black with the inside edge of the ball.
Yeah.
Right. And so the umpire's like, oh, okay, well, he threw it there. It's a strike.
But then he gets away with another half inch and then another half inch.
He'd move a half inch, right. And by the end of the game, it's 4 inches outside. But for the umpire, Well, he keeps hitting the glove.
You've just widened his eyes so much that, yeah, exactly. So I do think that an automatic strike zone is a weird one, because I can see myself going either way on this. But again, I'll go back to the basis of this, and that's ultimately you want the calls to be right. So
yes, exactly.
There's my
exactly right.
There's my and that honestly, out of this whole playoffs that I've been able to see so far, and mostly I've had it on the background, guys. I haven't been hanging on the edge of my seat, but yeah, that probably is the one gripe that I think universally most people have, and that's just been the umpiring.
No,
it hasn't been great. They are not helping their case. Let's just put it that way.
Nope, not in the least.
One thing I have enjoyed is the Fox broadcast being in 4K. It's been fantastic because you don't. What's that?
I know that Pete, you probably have it too. The 4K Apple TV box. I have a 4K TV, but I don't know that I've ever noticed the difference between 1080 and 4K.
They have to be using a 4K camera as well.
So Fox must be doing
and they're
that.
not all always in 4K, but yeah,
not all of them, but most of them.
Because I've rented those iTunes movies that claim they're in 4K, and I'm like, I don't know if this really looks any better than
it depends on your TV too.
Yeah, you can tell if they're using a 4K camera and they're broadcasting it. You can really tell it looks unnaturally clear.
Yeah, because so like TBS is doing it in 720, so that your TV is going to upscale it to 1080. The Fox broadcast, most of that is in 4K, so it's super clear.
Now, are you talking about like the FS1?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, the FS1. The broadcast is 4K.
Yeah, so my TV in the garage, where I'm usually relegated to watch baseball, out in my garage, isn't the 4K. The 4K is in the living room. So, I mean, the box said it was 4K. I believe everything that Samsung prints on everything. And evidently you do too, Andrew.
There's difference.
Okay.
Not all 4K TVs are the same.
Oh, yeah. You probably have to give me an education on that.
There's a big difference.
Basically, don't buy the Black Friday deal, right? You're not getting the best patch there.
You're getting a piece of shit, is what you're buying.
I'm assuming the same you said for Costco.
That $400 65-inch 4K TV is a piece of shit. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay. Good to know. Or the one you buy before Super Bowl. They pump those pieces of shit out too.
The cheap ones, yes. I mean, so I bought those are the best times to buy 4K TVs.
I sold them back, dude, when those things were like 300 pounds a piece, not what they are today. I had that one. I bought that one off Fisher, that big old Mitsubishi. I had that in an apartment for a while.
Oh, those rear projection ones?
It took about 6 guys to carry it up to my my place. And yeah, my dad actually has it now, and it's out in the garage. I don't know if it works or not anymore, but I remember when that came out, it was like, look at the beautiful picture on that. And at the time,
gorgeous at the time.
At the time, it was like, how has mankind advanced this quick?
I think those Mitsubishis were between either 480 or 720.
It's probably 480, but I mean, at the time, like it showed this close up of this icicle melting, and we're like, we're like mouths drop. You're like, oh my god, looks like I could taste the water. Anyway, wow, we got really off topic here, but.
Hey, you know what? Since we're talking about broadcasting, let's not ignore a fairly big elephant in the room, especially for you, Ron. And that was on Sunday. There was a story in the New York Post that Major League Baseball is in talks to launch a nationwide streaming service for local games without a cable subscription, and most importantly for Ron, without blackouts.
Ooh.
Now, how much that's going to cost? Who knows?
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, exactly.
If I don't have to pirate, sorry, and go to 15 different websites to find the one with the good feed, I will pay money so I don't have to do that.
And not have that feed drop out.
Exactly.
And also be 30 seconds behind.
Or 2 minutes.
Right. So
my phone's going off telling me the Cubs have lost. And I'm like, I didn't even get to watch them blow it.
Yep. Now the question will be, will they only will the only option be to buy into the full service, right? So you got to get the full MLB.TV package,
Right.
or will you be able to subscribe to your team?
A T. Yeah.
You know,
I mean, right now, I think the MLB.TV is $130 a season, 130, 140 a season, I want to say. And then, I mean, if they just said, hey, if you want your local broadcast team without blackouts for $130 for a season,
I might pay that.
I mean, I'm probably going to pay that.
Yeah, I know. You think about it, it's essentially it's $10 a month over the course of the year. Yeah, it might be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's less than $1 a game.
Right. So then the question becomes, you know, for a team that has their own network, like the Cubs, like the Yankees, the Dodgers, does that give you access to their full thing, right? So if I pay $130, do I get marquee access?
Right. Or do they allow marquee to?
Liam and I were at the bar tonight and watching a Cubs classic from around 2003, 2004, and I immediately thought of Ron while we were eating our pizza, because old Piss Hands was up and flared a single into center field, scoring Corey Patterson from second base. So, and I knew that somewhere Ron was getting angry.
I always do. Luis Salazar was the first Cub that had piss hands.
That's not the Piss Hands I was talking about.
Moises Alou.
Yes.
Fine. Yes, because it softened him. I thought you meant the little dunk shit hits that Luis Salazar always used to get for the Cubs when he
Nope, it was Moises.
It's Moises. Here's the thing: the Cubs went on a stretch there where they were acquiring guys that I couldn't stand. Anyway, it's like
I know,
in the
it was kind of fun.
there were a bunch of them. There was Moises Alou was one of them because he was with Houston for a while.
Can we stop? Yeah, he started with Houston, didn't he?
No, he started with
Can we
Montreal.
stop for a second and acknowledge just how close Moises Alou's name is to moist? Of course he pissed it on his hands.
Of course. But
should come as no surprise to
he
him.
started out with
Moist Alou.
He started out with Montreal, right? He's with those really good Montreal teams.
That's right.
He I think they may have traded him to Houston, but he was with Houston during that really good stretch they had in the late 90s and early 2000s. Then he goes to the Cubs. I already didn't like him because he was a Cardinal killer with the Astros, and when he would strike out, he would walk super goddamn slow back to the dugout. You know, his thighs would rub together, and his feet kind of went out at a 45-degree angle, and he'd just kind of walk slow as hell back to the dugout. I'm like, this guy thinks he's the shit. And then he shows up in a Cubs uniform, hate him even universally, like nuclear more. And the other one was Kenny Lofton. Already didn't like him when he went to San Francisco and he became a Cub. And I didn't like Dusty either when he was on San Francisco. He's in the dugout. And the Cubs did that for a while where they were acquiring these guys that I'm like, I didn't like him before. And I really fucking hate him now. So, yeah, the early 2000s Cubs did that like on 3 occasions where it just pissed me off one after another, all of them. But we did okay despite that. They were still just an annoyance, all of them. But I tell you, my favorite Moises Alou scene is slapping the glove on his knees after Bartman, or wasn't even Bartman, it was another guy in the stands. Seeing him throw that like grown man temper tantrum was actually a highlight for me of Moises Alou's career.
It's just you really know how to twist that knife, Ron.
That's not a knife twist anymore, guys.
You know how to treat a girl.
That's right.
Right.
What else is new? Hey, Ron, have you heard anything on the manager front?
Well, let me address this.
Basically,
let me address this streaming thing because.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm going to get something to drink.
Yeah, go ahead. Should we just sit here and wait for him? You know, Elliott, it's been one of those things. If we're all part of Twitter. We've all seen it. How frustrated baseball fans are. It's not limited to St. Louis. It's not limited to Chicago. No, you live in those markets. You've had access to them. For the last 20 years, steady, right? In the case of WGN and the Cubs, it's been even longer. But when you've had access to your team over a long period of time, one of the things you can count on, and we're all creatures of habit to some extent, you know, when baseball's playing, you know, you can come home, you can put it on in the background, and you can watch it. And it's there. You buy your basic cable package or whatever, it's there. The world has changed. A lot of people are streaming now. They're not subscribing to those things. So for the lack of foresight for some of these streaming networks to not account for that, to not account for those types of things, is actually staggering. Yeah. The fact that Bally Sports, if I lived in the St. Louis region and I don't have DirecTV, I don't subscribe to Comcast or AT&T, like TV, like, you know, the wired TV or the satellite.
Traditional OTA or over the line.
Thank you. I used way too many words. I should have just said traditional because that covers it all. But if I don't do that and I'm streaming, like, guys, that percentage of people is growing. It's not getting smaller. It's not flatlining. People that are cutting the cord is growing. And it's growing year over year over year. That's the way everything is. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
So the fact that some of these streaming networks, drop them. I could blame them. I could look at YouTube TV and go, what the hell, guys? But that's probably not where I put my blame in this. I probably look at the networks like Fox Sports, Bally Sports, all of them. Like, you guys are charging too much for this shit. And if baseball was any more bright, either you make that stuff accessible for these networks and streamers, or you come out with a package, like it looks like they're at least entertaining right now, where you offer look, for me, you guys have heard me say this for a long time. Like, I'm already shut out of about 30 games a year, depending on who they play. All right? And I pay the full price for MLB.TV. I live out of the St. Louis market. But we got this strange geography in baseball. They think that cities 7 hours away by road are part of their market. Is just really a fucked up scenario. So I'm shut out of 18, 19 games against the Reds. The Braves, I'm shut out 6. I get that one. Like, I could live with that one. And then whenever they go to play the Nationals, that's another 6. If they happen to be in the rotation where they're playing the AL East, I get shut out of Baltimore. So when you cut out a quarter, like almost a quarter of the games that you're supposed to get, right, that you would get normally, Elliott, by subscribing to those more traditional channels, that's how the hell is any of that acceptable? Like, why can't they be smarter than this? People are willing to throw their wallet at you just to give them what they're always used to, right? They are. And the fact that you didn't plan for that you didn't accommodate that in any way, shape, or form is just really staggeringly stupid. It really is.
And they're one of the only sports right now that has that to where you don't have access to your local team. I mean, I think the NFL was one of the first major sports to get out in front of it and say, hey, if you want to watch your local team, subscribe to NFL.com and you can watch whoever you want.
If you live out of your team's market, though, if you live out of your team's market, I think the NFL is missing the boat on this one a little bit too, because they've tethered that to the DirecTV satellite package for so long, and it's still that way this year, unless you're a student or unless you live in a location where you cannot get satellite service. Then you can buy those packages where you can actually get it. Like,
okay. They must have changed it a little bit, because I know at some point with one of their first streaming packages with like the AT&T Now or whatever it used to be called, you could still subscribe to Sunday Ticket, even if you could get the satellite.
They obviously did, because I tried looking everywhere. Right? How can I actually, what would it cost, and how could I potentially see Bears games? I live out of market. Before you had to have the satellite drilled into your roof, and you had to buy the NFL Sunday Ticket, right? That's the only way you could get it, unless I was a student, and I'm not going back to college anytime soon. Okay, so I think the NFL, all these sports are missing it a little bit, where I think they can make this all easier. Actually, the best one so far that I've had experience with, honestly, man, it's the NHL TV. It's doesn't have these types of restrictions. And if you are a streamer and you get something like YouTube TV or anything else, like you can kind of get most NHL games. But I'm not an avid NHL fan, and they're not playing every night like they do in baseball, where you get irritated when you can't watch them. You guys have literally been shut out because you live in market. A lot of St. Louis fans, just go to Twitter, have been shut out. They live in the goddamn market. I mean,
it's something that I think that a lot of the sports have just miscalculated cord cutters.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're not fine. You don't want us to be able to see the games. We're not going to buy. We're not going to, oh, well, okay, fine.
I'll go back to cable.
I'm going to go back to cable. We're not going to do that. We're either going to go to the bar and we're going to see it, in which case you're not getting anything from that. You're not getting anything additional from
the bar's getting it. The bar's paying for one subscription.
Right, exactly. Or we're just like, well, that's fine. I'm not going to watch the game.
That's fine.
Or I'll go to a third party site and I'll stream it from there, because if you're not going to give me a choice, then screw you.
That's the bigger issue I have, Elliott, is like for me, I'm willing to give them a few more dollars. Like just for instance, right? Let me pay $5 extra on my yearly subscription fee to not block me out of Reds games. When my team plays the Reds, let me pay extra to bypass blackouts.
Right.
Like and send that money right to the goddamn regional cable network that is due that money. But just give me the choice. Like, I'll pay extra, take my money, and that's what kills me about this, guys. We're all sitting here going, take a few extra bucks from me. I don't care. Just give me complete access to the season. And they're not doing it. I know it's more complicated than that. Like, I can beat my fist on this desk right here and say, give me what I want. I know there's complications to it, but shit, I mean, look at all the other streaming services that are out there now, like Disney Plus and all these other, like Peacock, all of them.
Paramount. I mean,
they're all starting to figure it out. Like at some point in time, this thing you have to throw $100 at somebody for, and you watch 10% of it because the other 90% you don't give a shit about. Like those days are numbered, and so our TVs are going to be filled with icons, just like our phones are. To where we're going to pay a few bucks to everything that just we want. It's going to be very much a la carte. That's where things are going to, and baseball is behind the 8 ball on this one. And the Mickey Mouse figured it out before you fuckheads did. So
yeah, and their content, I mean, they get subscribers when they have those shows hit. Then they lose their subscribers, and once they release something, they get them back. So baseball's got to have that continuous stream of stuff. So I mean, work something out with these channels to where I even if it was through MLB.com, I would get marquee all year long, because the one thing that annoys me about the way that the streaming's done is I don't get pregame and I don't get postgame, and a lot of times I want to watch that.
They've pivoted a little bit on this. They've actually given us more of the postgame and pregame this year than they had in years past. I think that's so somebody's listening to feedback somewhere, because it was so brutal and cold. Like after the third out, after the last out of the game, you get to see him walk off the field, and it'd be this big thing. Thank you for watching. You're like, oh, you got to be shitting me. Like I can't. Like I'm not ready to go to bed yet. I want to hear some of the post. I want to hear the post game interviews. I want to hear this kind of stuff. They started doing that a little bit more this year. So I was actually pleased to see that. So somebody's listening somewhere.
Oh, good. I'm glad that they're starting to do that. I don't think it's
when they don't play Cincinnati.
Yeah. Then you're not getting anything.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah. Hopefully this gets figured out. But hopefully by next year, I'm not counting on it for the way how fast baseball moves to change, but that would be nice. So, and I know there's been some players who have been vocal about this, so maybe it's something that they can talk about this winter. You know, expand the sport.
Been vocal about this since I moved to Charlotte.
I don't know that they have any say in the streaming.
Oh, they don't, but
they can what they get out of it financially.
No, they don't. They're not going to be able to, I think, move the needle one way or the other. It's going to have to be. Look, it's a combination of things, right? Like if attendance was down, but baseball has air cover this year with COVID, right? If you look across the board, numbers are down in a lot of places. Actually, the Cardinals, if you look at percentage of attendance, they weren't as bad as what I thought they were. Just visually, my optics looking at a lot of games and empty seats, I thought, Jesus, this is way worse than I thought. If you look at it, they're still like in the top tier of attendance, which is now that attendance is questionable. What are they counting there? But attendance, it's what happens and who's playing in this World Series. What are those ratings like? People have a ton more choices now than they did in the 80s, guys. Like the playoff baseball was an event for baseball communities, baseball regions. Everybody's
and
watching.
also, let's look. We've beat the horse dead numerous times, but still, baseball in the '80s was more entertaining. There was more going on. There was less downtime.
Yeah,
it was a more entertaining product. This is boring. You know,
it's been a brutal year to watch the sport. It really has been.
Yep.
Good thing we do a baseball podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's a good thing.
I was on the
then
brink.
We can talk about things like Mike Schilt going to coach the Padres.
Well, it's funny. Yes, that's a good segue to that. Before I do that, but I was on the brink, guys, like a month and a half ago. I'm like, I have to force myself to even look at a box score the next morning, much less watch the game. I'm like, how am I going to keep doing a podcast that's baseball centric if I have no interest in actually watching it? I was buying $300 Lego sets to entertain myself at night because I just had no interest at all in watching the sport. And it's very tied to the team. Yeah, the 17 game winning streak was kind of interesting once it got to 15 games. Guys, it took a long time for me to even get interested in a winning streak. And yes, they made it great. But all around, this is just not. And I know we can come off as get off my grass type of guys here tonight because we liked our 80s and early 90s and steroid baseball. But this game is
wrong.
This game is not as entertaining as it once was, Pete. I absolutely agree with you. There were storylines. There were it just seemed to be a little bit more let's call it the story element, fantasy element to the sport we watched before, and it's lacking now because numbers play, I think, a part in this. Analytics and numbers actually they suck a little bit of life out of it for me. Not that it's wrong. I realize it's part of the game. It's obviously a part of the reason why Mike Schultz not coaching the Cardinals anymore. But so I know it's changed, man. It's changed, and I've been behind the curve in following along with that change. I'm just not as enthusiastic about it as I had been at one point.
It was tough. It was tough after this past year, the shortened season, and then kind of coming into the season, we really I felt like we didn't have that enthusiasm for baseball, and it's just because something wasn't intriguing enough to pull us out of our workday, right? To pull us out of the grind of everyday life. Like baseball has been an escape for a lot of people, for my dad, for his dad, for anybody who had worked a long, hard day. Those guys worked harder than I did. But when you work that long, hard day and you come home at night, the one thing you have is you have your family, put the kids in bed, you turn on the radio or you turn on the TV and everything, and you get your exit ramp from life just for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And when baseball's not interesting anymore, that exit ramp doesn't exist, so you look for different ones. So you throw a lot of money at the Lego Corporation and and everything else. And you throw a lot of money at Netflix and Disney Plus and everywhere else trying to look for that daily exit ramp so you can escape reality, even if it's just for a brief moment of time, so you could recharge your battery. And baseball has not been it's been a battery recharger that's been on the fritz for about a year now, and it just hasn't worked the same way as it has for me in the past.
Ron, that was beautiful. That was almost poetic.
You're welcome.
I don't want to follow that.
Why not? I was expecting you to. I was trying to lay the groundwork there for a great retort.
The only retort I had is that if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe.
Oh, shit. Are you winding it down already? I guess it is almost 11 o'clock. But, Pete, we can't do that.
I mean, really, Ron, I can't think of a way to end it than with that.
Well, the one thing I do like to stress, though, is making sure that whatever you do in life, that you always have a plan, you always have a backup plan, you always have protection. I mean, that's the thing that's important. Baseball has been behind the eight ball as far as making sure that fans are always interested in the game. I know they're trying little tricky things, but none of that stuff works. So we all know how important it is to stay protected, to have a plan. Sometimes life throws a curve at you, and that's why you need Allstate. The Wiley Group has 2 locations in Festus and Arnold to serve you. They offer home, auto, boat, motorcycle business, life insurance, investments, and so much more. They offer a customized approach that is unique to your situation to make sure you, your family and assets are properly protected. They also offer great rates and savings. Give Sean and team a call at 636-764-6294. They'll help you get the insurance quote right over the phone. You can either give them a call to talk sports. They do that too. We all have busy lives, so you can email Sean at SeanWiley@allstate.com and talk to him about your coverage options. Remember, you are in good hands with Allstate.
And speaking of being in good hands, Elliott,
Yes, sir.
that mustache
Holy shit.
is in good hands. Good Lord, man.
I got to tell you, though.
I mean, I know we've talked about it a little bit, but I mean, Ron, first of all, put him in the big screen, right?
I'm going to put him solo right
If we're
now.
going to talk about this thing, it needs to be, look at that. Elliott, what inspired you here?
Well, it's going to be part of my costume this
And
year.
I'm actually going to make him bigger. So here, hang on. There we go.
Oh,
That's
there we
really
go.
uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable. You know, another uncomfortable thing is, guys,
What's that?
buying a car. That can be stressful, but it doesn't have to be. Fifth Street Motors, located in Pacific, Missouri, will help you
You're
find
gonna
the
have
vehicle
to give Fifth Street money back for this.
you need, no matter what. Fifth Street believes in giving you the best price on a pre-owned vehicle that will fit your budget. Give Brandon or Don a call today at 573-259-1306 and tell them Gateway City Sports sent you, along with the stash.
So what's the costume, Elliott?
Ted Lasso.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I even ordered a AFC Richmond sweater from the WB shop.
Did you really? Well
Yeah.
done.
So
Well done. And so who's the wife going as? Is she going as Keely or is she going to be a little bit more modest?
I think she's gonna be a little bit more modest. So I know. Yeah,
I can't
she's
zoom
figuring it
anymore
out.
because I just wanted him to be a mouth, just right in the screen.
I can give you a closer look, right up here.
There you go. Just rest. Pete,
Wow.
go ahead and lead us out. Right there,
I
Elliott.
will.
Get back to where
as
you
I
were.
lead us out. This actually gives us an opportunity to set the stage. So for those of you who are watching the show, or those of you who are listening after the fact, we joked about it for the last couple of weeks, and I actually at the beginning of the show I was doing the legwork. So we've set up a Team of Rivals Movember page. If you're not familiar with Movember, it's a fundraising opportunity designed to raise awareness of men's health, specifically prostate cancer. And so Ron and Elliott and I are going to shave on November 1st. So we will start the month of November clean. And each of the three of us are going to grow a mustache during the course of the month of November. And it'll be glorious. I can't wait to see what each of you guys chooses to grow over the month of November. And obviously, as part of it, we'll also be fundraising. So, you know, one, we'll have a little friendly competition among the three of us to see who can get the most money during the course of Movember. But also, we want to invite you guys. I've already created a team. We'll be putting the links up on our Facebook page, on our Twitter, and our Instagram, and we'll be showing them. And we'll definitely be taking some progress pictures during our shows in the month of November. And we're hoping that you guys will join the team as well. Team of Rivals podcast group, team, whatever you want to call it, is up on the Movember page. You can search for us or just hang on, and we'll be in there soon enough. We hope you guys will join us and help us change the face of men's health.
Oh boy.
You like that? If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your friends to subscribe. We're available on Facebook, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. Also, be sure to check out other Gateway City Sports Network podcasts, including the Derek King Sports Show, 2 for 3 with Moose Michaels, Yacker Jacks with last week's special guest, Brian Swope, XFL STL, and In the Cards with A-Train Arlington Lane. Send us an email at the show at teamofrivalspodcast.com. You can find Elliott on Twitter at
TOR_Elliott.
And you can find Ron at
TOR_Ron75.
And gentlemen, you know, ultimately we come right back around to where we started. Chris Taylor hit another home run.
Jesus.
7-2 Dodgers. I can't do this anymore.
Why guys like that? Why guys like that? I was talking to a friend earlier tonight, talking about how he's not a big Giants fan. Had to live through all that stuff. Guy out in California, he's a Padres fan, and like the Giants always had one of those guys every year. 2010, 12, and 14. That seemed to arrive out of nowhere. There were retreads from other organizations, but all of a sudden they turned into Roy Hobbs in the playoffs.
Or Yastrzemski.
So the Cardinals special.
No. They did benefit from Scott Spezio, who fits that bill. Like during the regular season, nobody wants him. Kyle Schwarber would fit that bill too. Like this guy should just only be available in the playoffs. And that should be the only games they play. Marco Scutaro was that Giant for me. Like why all of a sudden Scott Scutaro, I've heard of him before, never thought much of him, and now all of a sudden nobody can get him out, and it's so annoying. Every team has somebody like that. Chris Taylor is doing that this year. He's not a star. He might be a fan favorite because he's been with that organization for a long time, but why are you doing so well? Like stop it. Like if we want to showcase baseball, why don't the stars start doing something and stop these ancillary guys that are impacting? I'm tired of that shit. Let's have the stars do something, right? Come on. Barry Bonds is no, he wasn't on those teams. I'd have been even more pissed. But like you had Buster Posey and Bumgarner. It wasn't even the story against Cardinals in playoffs those years. It was Marco Scutaro just tore you up, man.
Ben Zobrist.
Let that one, yeah. let that one sink in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't talk about this anymore. Done tonight. Pete, thank you for leading us out. We'll be back. Probably same time, same place next week, unless something bad happens to one of us. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Love you all so much. Bye-bye, everyone.